Minister Nzimande, without any further ado, let me request that you take the podium. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm sweating, but if I wipe my face, they'll say this man is under huge stress. You know? So I'm not going to wipe my face because you will always be playing this Nzimande at Fort Hare, you know, with this. Thank you very much, Ishmael, our program director. Let me greet my colleague, the Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Mboneli Vesele, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Ms. Nophendula Mkhatshwa, Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Innovation, our DG of Department of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Sishi, and all the senior managers who are here from my department, including the special advisor to the Premier, Comrade Combatant of the Eastern Cape. Let me thank you for attending this media briefing. Today, I met with the University Council, the worker leadership from trade unions, and the SRC, and had an opportunity to greet the Vice-chancellor. I must say that the meeting that we've had with the University Council was a hugely successful engagement. We had a very frank and robust engagement with the university. Of course, we must say this as well, that it is an undisputed fact that the University of Fort Hare was a key institution in higher education for many black South Africans from 1916 to 1959. And today it still remains a very important institution that has 80% of its students being NSFAS recipients, as an institution that largely caters for learners from the working class and poor communities. But also it's an institution of immense historic significance, given its own history in the liberation struggle, but also it is an institution that also houses a very important part of our history, all the archives of the various components of the liberation movement, the ANC, the PAC, the SACP, AZAPO, and all other formations that were part of the liberation struggle. And we know that it has produced many heroes of our country. I also wish to say again that I once more pass my heartfelt condolences to the Vesele family, friends, and the University of Fort Hare on the murder of Mr. Mboneli Vesele, the Executive Protection Officer to the Vice-chancellor, Professor Buhlungu. I remain outraged by this inhumane act and strongly condemn it. I, however, remain confident that the police will go very deep into investigating the full circumstances and find the perpetrators of this heinous act. Since Saturday, I've been in contact with the Minister of Police almost daily until this morning. And he is also around and meeting with his senior police officials and engaging with relevant stakeholders in dealing with this matter. I also do want to say that in some respects what is happening here at Fort Hare is unfortunately development that are taking place in other institutions. A few of our vice-chancellors have got protectors, bodyguards, and also in our Tibet colleges, some of our principals have got protectors. Though the reasons are varied, but the common factor is that we do have the challenge of corruption that has crept into the post-school education and training institutions. In our discussions with Council, we're committed that we will do all we can to work with the university to deal with a number of problems and challenges that we have identified. But what I also want to say, contrary to some of the reports in the media, myself and my department, we have gone all out to support the University of Fort Hare. That we had done nothing after the killing of Mr. Roots is completely untrue. When Mr. Roots was assassinated, we made sure that the police take up the matter. That was the initiative from our own department over and above the reporting that was made by the university. And we also sent a staff member to represent us in the memorial service of Mr. Roots. I also want to say this, that so that I give this background in order that we understand properly. It's just over a year ago that Fort Hare came out of administration. Fort Hare was put under administration precisely because we had identified problems, weaknesses in governance and the management of the institutions that actually forced the department to put the institution under administration. And after the report from the administrator, which identified a lot of weaknesses, we agreed with the university that they should actually report at least twice a year on what the university is doing to tackle and address the issues identified under administration. In fact, I must say, over the last few years myself, of all the universities, we have given a lot of attention to the University of Fort Hare. So no one should claim that we have not done a lot to work with this university. I also want to indicate this because we can't just look at this in isolation from these other matters. The University of Fort Hare has also received extensive funding by the department to ensure its sustainability and development. By way of example, we have given the University of Fort Hare 282 million rands for infrastructure development by the university over a 5-year period. We have also given the university 288,920,000 rands between 2015 and 2021-2022 from the Sbusi Sopengu Development Grant, whose aim is for the university to develop itself and build its own specialities and its own personality, if you like. We have also given the University of Fort Hare 130 million that was granted within a few weeks of request by the Vice-chancellor in response to the dire water sanitation challenges in Alice for the development of the water and sanitation treatment plant. We have also given Fort Hare 122 million that was contributed to the creation of the Alice Student Village, especially the design in the process releasing 1,437 bed structure for student accommodation. In fact, with that, the face of Alice campus of Fort Hare has changed completely. We have also given the university 117 million rands, 976,000 for foundation provision over a 5-year period. In summary, we have given Fort Hare almost R1 billion. Because we have an interest that this institution, as a historically disadvantaged institution, does succeed and is able to serve the students, as I have said, 80% of whom are recipients of NSFAS. I do want to say, therefore, that out of today's discussions, here are the key issues that we have come up with. In our engagement with Council, we have agreed on certain short-term measures as well as medium to long-term measures. The first thing that we agreed upon is that we all have to work to ensure that we have a smooth beginning to the academic year. In fact, all the stakeholders committed, the student leadership and the worker leadership. On our side as the department, we had already identified a number of institutions where we have got to do some close monitoring. We have added Fort Hare into that. That when the year starts, right now, we are going to be doing close monitoring of the entire sector, but with a particular focus on certain institutions. Secondly, what we agreed with Council is that we need focused attention on issues of safety and security, not just at Fort Hare, but in the entire higher education sector, and agreed that we're going to form a national task force by the department working with the sector, universities and colleges that will focus on safety and security in our institutions at a systemic level. I'm also very pleased to say that together with the workers and students, we also agreed that we do need structures of workers and students and the university to work together to create committees and structures that are going to focus on safety and security. We are doing this being well aware that it's not the task of universities to become safety and security, but at the same time, police alone, without also higher education or post-school education and training communities organizing themselves to make their own space safe, we are actually not going to be able to move forward without that. We have also said that we need a systemic way to challenge other threats to universities and colleges that also contribute to criminality. For instance, our institutions, colleges, universities, are faced with the problem of the so-called business forums who are targeting especially our infrastructure projects, disrupting them, demanding to be given a tender even if they have actually not received that. We have also said that we need to work together in order to be able to tackle that systemically. We are concerned because in the discussion with students, the SRC and the work leaders, one of the things that was identified is that they are not certain why there is this violence. Some of them even went to the extent they hear that this is caused by the fight against corruption, but they don't see and they don't have adequate information. Therefore, one of the agreements we've had is that as the university management and council go back to discuss this matter, the students as well as workers must also discuss this matter so that they are all able to come together and agree on what needs to be done in the medium to longer term. As a minister responsible for higher education and training, together with my department, we will further process all the submissions on the issues that we collected today by various stakeholders and the University Council to see what further measures can be taken to secure the safety and security and full functionality of the university. In conclusion, I would like to say that on my part, and I'm happy to say also supported by my colleagues, Minister Kungubele and Minister Cele, we are going to leave no stone unturned to fight against corruption in our institutions and also to ensure that Fort Hare is protected as an institution. We want to say to the criminals who are wanting to take over our institutions, they won't win. We are very determined. These institutions are about the future of our youth. They are not institutions for thieves to feed themselves onto this. That is why we are urging all stakeholders here at Fort Hare to work together and also work with us. Work together amongst ourselves, but also work together with us as the department and as government to be able to address all these matters. At times like this, when we have had a murder of a father, Mr. Vesele, we need to avoid grandstanding. We need to avoid blame game. We need leaders who will take responsibility to work together. We commit as government that we will work together with Fort Hare and all our institutions. Thank you very much.